Hi, this is Kim Pinkney and welcome to my channel. Alright, today is my quick sketch before I leave, and here's where I currently am with the pirate. I've added some little details on part of her vest, and I'm going to be coloring that in kind of sort of with some green because I just kind of want to alternate a little bit with complementary colors here. I'm kind of working in these kind of tones right here, and the complement of that is like on this side, so greens and yellows, the cool colors. So you've got like warm colors and cool colors, and when they come together it kind of like makes each other brighter or more vibrant. Same thing with like if you were using blues and oranges, the complement of each other. Anything across from each other on a color wheel will enhance the two colors. But when you mix them together, they get a darker tone. So the more of one, like if I put green with some orange on it, it would come like a deep dark blue, or blue with orange. And same thing with orange. If I needed to make my orange a little bit richer, I could put a little bit of blue into it and it would make a little darker orange or muddier orange. Okay, enough with that. So I'm looking at this, and I think I kind of want to throw some like steampunk locks on her hair. But before I begin, I'm going to show you what I was doing yesterday on the bus. I came up with this, and I was half tempted to go ahead and just work on this and maybe add a little coloring tutorial to this. But and I guess that can't hurt. Let me show you the source image where I've kind of got the style. I just kind of fell in love with it. It was it's out of one of these black hair books. Sorry, upside down. Black hairstyle books. I like these because it gives me a variety of faces, different hair, whether it's real or not, it doesn't matter. It's just like art. So I was like, oh, really take it. And I really like big, bold faces. Gives me ideas for different makeups and things like that, but also gives me a chance to practice on different skin tones. The downside to this book is that everybody is pretty much toned the same. So you kind of want to add your own little tones to it. I mean, for some reason, virtually everybody in this book has been toned to a way lighter tone. The only time you don't see it is in either the articles or it's like the same. I mean, they didn't have anything to do with these, but it's like I know these people are way darker than they appear here. You know, it's just, come on. It's not necessary. But, you know, let me stop. I'll take the good with the bad and run with it. Like in the ads. The ads are the only ones that are kind of consistent with maybe the tones. But anyway, the picture that or the hairstyle that I fell in love with was, and I just lost my page. Sorry about that. Let me flip through this. But yeah, it gives me a couple ideas for different hairstyles and stuff to add to characters. Like this is badass right here. That's pretty cool. I like the difference between curly and straight. And that's pretty much what attracted me to this particular hairstyle. I don't think I've ever seen that in-between curly look. And this one right here, I definitely want to draw. I want to draw this like a Marie Antoinette type of picture. But, you know, I can steampunk it up. You know, there's a lot of potential with this particular style right here. So, let me get to where I was. It was something about wigs. And this is one of the inspirations for my my coloring book, because you see all the different hair colors and styles, and I'm like, you know what? That would be freaking awesome to see in a different color. Let's see. I just can't. You know, I had that picture, was able to open up to it immediately, and then lost it just as fast. Here we go. Okay, so there's the picture that and I'm going to pretty much use her coloring here as well. Okay, so I can keep this close by just to kind of give you guys an idea of where I'm getting my colors from, and I think I want to use the same kind of color tones as well. I'm going to use my colored pencils. Let's see, orange is definitely one of them. Yellow, let's see. Let's see what we got here. We've got, and what I like doing is pulling out a lot of colors, like at least 3 different colors in like each cone. So if I see a yellow tone, I want yellow, orange, white, maybe a brown or a gold, because I want to get a variation. I want to be able to show a little bit of light and dark here. So let me see. I was going to use like a goldish tone. This is different. I'll probably use that with the shadows or not. Let me see if I can. I just got to keep pulling colors. So I've got like another orange, like a deeper, darker orange. Let's see, brown's not a bad tone. Let's see. And I'm just pretty much looking at what I see in the picture. So there's a deep dark orange, there's a lighter orange. If I can, either find another light orange or use orange with white. And I do the same thing with the yellows. I see kind of like a deep dark yellow color, a goldish brownish yellow, and then the highlight, which is white. So I use about 3 different colors whenever I color. The skin, usually I start with the light tone first. So I see, these are going to be my hair colors. Okay, so I see like and I'll bring this up close. And I'm kind of looking as if I was doing not a cube, I'm sorry, doing a sphere. And I'm looking at the lightest tone, and usually I use about a peach or an apricot in this lightest tone. But it looks like for her skin I could get away with using a light brown or an off brown, and then off brown, like a tannish color, and then go in with a darker brown. And then for her deeper, darker tones, I can use like a deep dark brown, like where her nostrils are. That's like some of the deepest color for brown. And if I wanted to, I could kind of lighten it up with like a mahogany or something like that. And basically I look for like 3 different colors, 3 to 4 different colors. And also how color plays on the face. You know, you've got makeup, but beyond the makeup, like the tip of her nose, I'm gonna bring it up a little closer. And within her nose, you can kind of see that it's got like a little bit of an orangish tone to it. And you've got the lighter colors, like right here, where the light hits it the hardest. And then as it goes down into the other colors, like when you can see the other colors in her nostril, it goes from like a deep dark brown to the mid-tone brown to this like orangish color, mixed with the brown, and then into the highlight. So that's what I'm going to pretty much do with this particular picture. Let's see, and I did like this top. I was like, oh my gosh, that top is cute. So I'm going to incorporate that kind of like right here as well. I might take some liberties with the skin tones and stuff like that, just so, oops, let me get my white here. you know, just to make it more of my own. And also, I incorporate a little bit of the, here's my dark brown. I incorporate a little bit of the, if I want to get like a deep, deep dark color, I can use markers as well. Whether it is the Super Tips or the signature markers, either one works just great. I can also even use them like watercolors, like a watercolor base, and then bring it up. The only thing is that using water, this is mixed media paper and you can handle it, but using water on this, it's kind of unpredictable. So, especially if you're using the water brush and it's kind of like a cheap water brush, water and the colors can go in different places. So, it's all about control and controlling where it all goes. So it doesn't hurt to have something handy nearby to sop up any extra water where you don't want it to go. Okay, so I would say she's got like a warm tone to her skin, probably because of the light and the lighting. And I'm just digging up my browns. Like, this is that off brown I was talking about. This is Antique Brass. And it's a nice off color, like kind of like there. I've also got another off brown, which is, let me get my finger off of it. This is Khaki. And I can always use light brown and dark brown or chocolate. I think I've got that in here. Here we go. This is the light brown. I might be using this sparingly, probably about in this area, because it looks like she's a little bit lighter. La la la. And to enhance that, I'd probably use like a purple, or because she's got warm skin, I would use a cool tone. Okay, and then I've got two other colors of off brown. This is copper, and that's copper, and that even looks like it could work with her skin. And this here is the dark brown, or rather dark chocolate. Okay, I usually like to work from the light color to the dark color, and then and I pay a lot of attention to the skin because oops, sorry, let me move my keyboard out the way. I don't know, it's like eye-catching. So also, let me get rid of some of these. And usually I like, and I apologize that I did not draw this on camera. This was like something that I had started yesterday while I was on the bus, and I'm like, you know what, I am really digging this. And just kept going with it, even to the point where I started to ink it in with one of my markers, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'm really digging this. What I'm looking for now is my pencil sharpener. Let me see if I took it with me. This is my pencil bag here. All right, I'll just wing it. Okay, and I'm going to hit her lightest parts on her face. So like right here. This is her cheekbone. And it looks like the light is hitting it like straight on. So you see like her lightest parts are here. Maybe a slight top down type of thing. I don't see any too many shadows underneath her nose like coming downwards. So I'm assuming that it's kind of going forward a bit or at an angle. So everywhere where I see it really light is where I'm going to apply the white color pencil. And make sure that your colored pencil is clean. Or else you'll have different things happening in your highlights that you really don't want to happen. You don't have to be precise, but you want to kind of get in the realm of where the highlight is. And because my pencil has got this really weird wear to it, I'm going to have to like hold my pencil kind of weird in order to get to where I need to go. I also discovered while doing the pirate that if I heated up my paper, it also helped getting the pencil down a little bit. So from time to time, I'm going to throw on my air gun, and I'm going to heat my paper up, and I'm just trying to get a little bit of this onto here, just a little thicker. Alrighty. And just gets a little bit on there. I tried soaking the pencil in warm water or hot water to try to get it to soften a bit, but I didn't like the effect. What happened was that it would clump up. Like when I'm rubbing it on, it's not it doesn't go on uniformly. It just seems to come out like little clumps. So yeah, it softened it up, but it was unusable. And I almost messed up a picture with that. I was doing a Batman coloring on my Art with Edge, little Art with Edge series. And I just didn't like how it was going, so I ended up I didn't continue with it. I just didn't like how what it did to the pencil. Now, if you do want to color this in, you know, like you start with a colored pencil, and then you want to go with crayon. It's easier to do colored pencil first and then change to crayon, because what happens is that when you start with crayon and then go back over it with colored pencil, the colored pencil will scratch off the crayon. So it's like all your work is for nothing, or it'll be splotchy once you discover what it starts to do. Okay, so the lightest tones that I see is kind of like this this copper tone. So what I'm going to do is around where I applied the white, I'm going to lightly, on the edge of my pencil, go around to all the areas where I see it, and I'm even going to be in the darker tones as well. So I'm basically just going over the entire picture, except the lightest parts. I'll creep into them a little bit, but I'm not going to go over them completely. And I'll keep the other picture close by so you can see what I'm working on. Let's see. I'd do a picture-in-picture if I knew how to do it with my current technology. I don't think I would be able to without editing the film, editing my footage here. Let me scroll up so I can see what you guys are seeing. And good morning for those who have joined me. Alrighty. So like Monday through Friday, oh, sorry about the glare. Let me see if I can move her to it or reduce the glare just a bit here. Hopefully that helps a bit. Okay, so I got her close by. Let's see if I put it up high, glare, glare, glare. Maybe if I bring her down a little bit. Okay, maybe that might help. I have a bit of a delay from what you guys see. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay. And so I'm just pretty much wherever I see the tones, I'm just going to pretty much add very lightly this light brown. And I got my baby oil really close by, so if I want to blend it even further, I can do that. I use baby oil as my solvent, pretty much because it's non-toxic, and the whole thing about Crayola is that it's non-toxic. And it's kind of weird to, you know, use the Crayola and then use like a toxic type of thing like the Mona Lisa solvent to blend, even though it blends these guys like nobody's business. But it's not good for you. Okay, so around the nose, I'm going to leave the highlight alone. And you kind of want to think ahead so that you don't have to go back with another color or a gel pen or anything like that. You want to kind of leave your highlights to the color of the paper, at least for now. And then before just don't color the whole thing in. You want to be strategic on where you put your colors. And again, it's easier to go from your light colors to a dark color than it is to go the other way around. There are times when I throw my dark colors on there, but I am still leaving, I'll lead with my highlights first. But if it's like totally dark in one area, I'll just throw that on there first. It doesn't matter. And then I'll blend that in with the mid-tone. It's almost like you got to decide what color is the more dominant. And again, once you've mastered looking at the picture and seeing where the colors are falling, especially if you're doing a portrait of somebody and you really want to capture their likeness, you really want to pay attention to where all the shadows are. If you are doing one picture in one particular lighting and you're using another picture as your source image, you gotta choose whatever your source image is. You want to go with that kind of lighting. Like say you have your friend wants you to draw someone for their birthday, do a portrait for their birthday, and they give you like 3 different pictures. You want to try to take the likeness. You want to choose one of them. If you combine the two, you run the risk, or combine 2 or 3 of them, and they all have different lightings. Like one picture was taken outside, another one is like super tiny, another one is you may get like, you want to try to get pictures that are similar or into the same neck of the woods. You just want to kind of be consistent with your lighting, or else you may not be able to capture their likeness. And the whole point of it is that you're capturing their likeness. It's not going to be precise, so and you got to explain to some people that it's art. Okay, if you want an exact copy of something, then get a photograph. Keep the photograph. But if you want art, then let me, have the reins. There's a time when you have to fight for your art. Especially when someone looks at it and goes, "Oh, that doesn't look like that." It's like, well, it's art. It's my interpretation. If you don't want my interpretation, then you might need to look elsewhere. However, if it doesn't look like them, like you drew Lassie and you got Rin Tin Tin instead, I don't think anybody's going to know who the heck those are. You drew 2 different types of dogs. You've got to be able to be the distinguishing artist or discriminating artist and realize, yeah, I did kind of mess up on the dogs. I kind of poked the pooch on this one. So you may end up having to draw things over again. And you'll come, if you're doing pictures for other people, you'll come across that sort of thing. Okay, also when I'm applying the colors here, I'm also kind of going in a circle because I've got this tooth of the paper here that's pretty, the paper's really rough. And you can see the paper in the, beneath the pencil. So you're going over the pencil, but you can still see the white of the paper. And with paper like this, I prefer like really smooth paper, because you don't have that much to worry about as far as the paper goes. Um, let's see. As I go further down on her body, I usually I don't pay as much attention as, give it as much detail as I do the face. The face is what everybody looks at, and people may look at your picture for just a few seconds at a time. I'm sorry, I got to shift areas here. And I left off her earrings. I thought it would be a nice balance if I did put it in, but I just chose not to. I don't like that fringe part, but I do like the shape. But I decided to leave that off. I left her tattoos off. Okay, I got about 10 minutes. 4, 6, so 15 minutes. I got about 15 minutes to play with. Okay. So when I say that I see colors, particular colors, like I see kind of like a peach tone in her skin, what that's going to do is kind of like lighten it up. Like if I wanted to, I could take the lightest tone, which is this light tone right here. If I have that in a pencil, I could go ahead and just do the whole thing and just kind of layer my colors. So the next one on top of that would be the next shade. And then and what I'm trying to do is just pretty much blend the pencils until I get to the colors that I really, really want. Until I get to the tone that I really like. I don't start blending anything until I've got a bunch of color already on here and it's pretty thick, because you could be blending for days if you keep going back and blending and going back and blending. You want to go ahead and get that color on first and then blend those colors together. You have to get at least 3 colors and get it on thick. Oh, let me warm up the paper a little bit so I can get more of these colors on faster. All right. And it cools down pretty fast too. If you're working with crayons and say I want to go back over this with crayon, just to throw more color on here, I would warm up the paper. And again, like I said, you want to lead with the colored pencils first, or or if you're doing like that base tone with markers, you want to go with the markers first. Crayons are going to be last if you decide to use those. And I mentioned the crayons because they are, once you warm them up and you get them onto the paper, you can blend those too. And it's pretty. It's very pretty. And so this color right here is copper. And I'm just taking copper all the way around here. And I'm just going over all the areas where it's just a little darker. And I'm going to go into the light tone, but I'm not going to go too deep into the highlight. Okay, we warm it up down here. And with crayons, I like to get a lot of crayon first onto the paper, and then apply the heat. Get it on out like nice and thick, and just kind of layer them on, and then I can blend them as if they are like Prismacolors. Let's see, just bring that in a little bit. Now, even if you didn't have a source image, like say you were drawing from your mind, you can kind of remember, if you can remember how to color a sphere, and that's a circle that looks three-dimensional, that is three-dimensional, kind of like the Earth. If you can remember the techniques of coloring a sphere or a round object, you can color this without a source image. Because everything where it rounds, there'll always be a highlight where the light hits it. And the further you travel from that highlight, it'll get darker and darker. And you can almost, let me see if I can find a place on her face where you'll see that. On her chin is a really good spot. Where you see it right here where it's the lightest, that's where the light is hitting it the hardest. And because your chin is round, or her chin is round, it's got the highlight, and then as you travel away from that light where it's white, it starts to get more color, more color, more color, and darker until you get to the darkest spot. That's the that's the area that's furthest away from the light. But as you travel from out of that dark area, you'll start to come to a lighter area. That's the cast shadow. It will be light, but not as light as the hottest, whitest spot. Okay, so it's like that mid-tone in between. So you can get away with, you have your highlight, and then you have your darkest spot here. And I'll switch pencils to, this is light brown. And I'm going to make that the darker area. This is the light brown. And then I'll have a mid-tone, which is, let's see, this is that copper again. So I'm going to go a little bit over that dark tone and a little bit into that highlight. And I'm going to bring it also beneath the dark part. So you can kind of sandwich your shadow with that mid-tone. And it makes her chin look even rounder on this paper. Well, not rounder, but it gives it that round illusion. Two-dimensional object, a two-dimensional picture, and trying to make it look three-dimensional. I think that's how it works. Or in our case, try to make her look like a human. Okay. I'm using dark brown, and I just want to make sure my darkest shadows on this side are in there, but I'm lightly adding it. And what I do here, I'm going to bring it also into this shadow as well. I just want it to be a little darker. And then definitely it'll be darker underneath. And also another rule of thumb is, like, wherever it's light, there'll be a corresponding dark. So wherever you have a hot highlight, you will have a deep dark color somewhere. A darker shadow. So she's almost like she's jutting her head out to cast this shadow. And I'll just keep going around in circles, having it darker closer to the edge. And one of the ways of making your pictures look more realistic is, one, don't outline, not with black. Just don't outline. Or if you do outline, the outline is where the darkest parts will be. So like I have like an outline here around her nose, and I can say that those are going to be the darkest parts. But not too dark there. And that'll help you keep your help it look a little bit more realistic. If you do decide to outline and you really want to try to get a photorealistic type of thing, try to use the colors that are compatible with the area that you're going to color. If you're going to outline, like say instead of it being black here, that I used maybe the copper to outline it. And what you're trying to do is you're making your lines disappear. If you can make your lines disappear, it'll look more uniform like flesh, and you can get more of a realistic look. So yeah, I'm going to try to make this line disappear. I've got lines right here. I'm gonna have to, and you're just going to kind of get to the same tone as that line. So like this line right here, I'm going to try to make that disappear. But I'm not trying to get like a photorealism type of thing going on. Not really. Or else I would have just kept it in pencil. Now I'm also bringing in a little bit of this light brown into her shadow. I do want it to look blended, kind of, sort of. Okay, it's now 6 o'clock. I've got about 20 minutes left. I don't give myself much of a cushion to run out the house. I really love drawing like this. And then I take a break on the weekends and sleep in. And then just do live streams as I can. But the weekends are the times when I can get things done. Or not. Alright. Such is life. And you want to kind of take your time with it. You don't want to rush through. And you really want to get a nice coat. you want to take your time with it. It's really soothing. If you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. Like say you have too much of a dark tone in one area. There are ways of lightening it up. If you do it with crayon, you can scratch it and try to scratch it off. But you also can layer your crayon with white and overcome that. Okay, so like I said, you can also, now I'm switching back to copper, and I'm going to add more of the tone here over the colors that I just put down. Knowing certain parts of the face, like how the face lights up or is lit, things that are round, just keep in mind that there are places on the face where are round. This is round. So like say you're thinking of a sphere again. Let's see, I don't want to draw a sphere on this, it might mess it up. But like this is the circle of the sphere. This is where the light's hitting it the hardest. And wherever it's like that whitest color, that's where it's hitting it the hardest. And then you travel away from that, and here's where there's less light in this area. So you got that round area right here. So you can always shade in that kind of sense, that you're going to have a highlight here above the brow line. If you kind of think of that as a sphere, there's usually a highlight here where it catches the light, or where it bends out towards the light, and then it gets correspondingly dark because this is an eye socket. It's a hole where your eyeball is fitting in, and skin, your eyelid is going to be extending over. So this part right here catches the light, And you'll see like on makeup and things like that, that right here below the eyebrow and right here above the eyebrow usually catches light. If they haven't shaved their eyebrows off and then penciled them back in or whatnot, usually it you can catch that highlight. So there's always going to be like a highlight here, a highlight here. Well, this is covered by hair. Your cheekbones, you can think of them as round. So where's the light hitting it? About right here. And then there's always going to be a corresponding dark, and that's like right here. And then it starts to get light again, but not as light as this right here. So you can get away with making a highlight right here in white, and maybe even a highlight right after it gets, you know, in this darkest spot. But because of the way her hair is, it's covering up some of that area. And now on the nose, same thing. The nose sticks out. The top of the nose gets the highlight. It depends on how the light is hitting it. Wherever the light hits it the hardest, like say if it's coming this way, if the light's coming this way, then the ball's going to get hit like right here on the top. And then again, you'll have that darkest spot, and then it starts to get light again. But not as white as that right there. I don't know what this part is called. I know these are your lips, but I'm not sure exactly what this is called. Depending on how deep this little trench is, if it's really deep, it'll be dark here in the center here. If it's not so deep, it'll catch more light. Hers doesn't look like it's too deep, but it's deep enough to notice it. So I got like a little bit of brown there. Her lips kind of jut upwards, so there's a little bit of a shadow here, right above her lips. And then there's a bit of shadow here, because it's going back down. So it's like going back down at an angle. So she's got a bit of a shadow here. The top parts of the lips always catch a light. It's lightest up here. And then as you go further away from the light, you get that dark shadow, because it's round. And the light is really hitting it hard right here. So you just pretty much try to go for the areas that you see. Try to keep in mind roundness. If you keep in mind the idea that things are round, you'll be able to capture a lot more of a realistic look, a rounded look, a more human look. And it's kind of what you do in flat shading. You've got like the dark tone. The only thing is that there's not much of a transition. It goes from dark and then straight to light. So you'll have like your base tone, and then you have the dark tone. And and every now and then you might have a highlight. But what I'm doing is I'm just adding the gradients in between. And if you guys ever have any questions or comments, you can definitely leave them in the comments, and I'll go ahead and answer. And I really appreciate Cutie. I think it was Cutie Pie. Thank you so much for your compliment. I truly appreciate it. I'll send you a quick message and let you know how much I appreciate it. You give me a swelled head, woman. She complimented me on my crayons, getting some interesting looks with my crayons. You know, and what's funny is that when I did look back at one of my pictures, um, it was crayon, but I couldn't remember if I did crayon or if I did colored pencil. And I'm thinking, you know, I think this was melted crayon. It was hard for me to pick out how I applied it. It looks so good. If I don't, you know, if I toot my own horn, why not? Beep beep. Let's see. Okay. And so I'm just going to keep doing that sort of thing. I'm going to add like my lightest tone and keep going back into it. Like I said, I saw like this orange, kind of like this orange. And I'll add a little bit right here. I saw that like right here in the brown. And then on her lips. She's kind of got a little bit of an orange tone to her lips, but not by much. It's very subtle. And then I saw a little bit here in her cheekbones. And it's mixed in with her skin tone here. It's very, very subtle. But it also lightens up her face a bit more. Okay, let's see. This here is gold. Let me see what gold does for us. I'm going to add that as a mid-tone, like right here. And it's like a duller color. I don't want to use that. It doesn't look good. Okay, and no bueno. Okay, not on this one. This was the antique brass again. I'm just adding that in where I see the brown over that gold-ish. And I just want to get this little tone here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add this in with a little bit of that highlight. And I'm going to go over it again with the highlight because it's like a lighter brown. Very, very light brown. I'm going to go in over this part. Okay, I got about 8 minutes. Now, at this point is not a bad point to go ahead and start adding my solvents to blend. And what I'm doing with the solvents is not only blending the colors together and getting to the tone that I want. You know, it'll blend. Let me see. Oh, that's not it. I need one of my blending stubs. Oh, blending stub. There they are. And usually you can pick these up at Walmart for about maybe $3, $2 or $3. This is baby oil. And then I'm going to, in circles, add a little bit. I'm going to dip a little bit of my blending stub in baby oil, wipe a little bit off, and then just go ahead and start blending it through. And what that does is it just gets it into the tooth of the paper more uniformly. It just hides some of that white of the paper. but it also blends the colors together. Now, on Bristol paper, I like being able to cover the whole paper with baby oil, and it just changes the texture of the paper. It makes it transparent, and it also makes these just glide. Yeah, this weekend I'll see if I can work on getting a Discord together, and so like if you guys wanted to chat with me real time instead of typing, you'd be able to do that. I figure since it always opens up on me every time I open my computer, may as well use it. Let's see. So this is like the first coat of baby oil on here. And it just softens up the crayons, the Crayola pencils. Softens, it blends. Okay, now with the blending stub, you can always bring in, or if you've got enough on it, you can bring some of these tones into other places. This works really well on this kind of paper. You don't want to use the baby oil on computer paper. It's not what it's designed for. And you can't really get, I mean, you can get gradients and stuff, but you don't want to coat it with baby oil and it'll leave splotches. It's kind of ugly. Okay, so now after I've blended some of my stuff here, I would go back over it with more color and just keep layering my colors, and then just rinse and repeat until I get to the desired image. Unfortunately, I've only got 4 more minutes to rinse and repeat. So I'm going back over some of this area here. And you'll find that your pencils will glide a little bit better too. It's like you gave yourself a little layered coating. Now, it's not the end of the world if you accidentally make a mistake. Or like you have maybe too much baby oil or whatnot on your picture. It's okay. Baby oil does dry. And you can always go back over it. Okay, this here is the dark brown, and I'm just going to bring that back in. Just very subtle. Let's see, and then it's dark brown down here. Alrighty. And I want to use my light tone again. Let's see, I think this is one of the light tones. Let me try this one. This one here was khaki. And I'll have khaki come on in where I thought that it's really close to the highlight. And I'm just going over in some of the other areas too. Now you don't have to follow the same colors as your source image. You can always change those colors up. You just assign it to a different color. So like instead of it being brown, and maybe I was going to make a more celestial being, I could always like maybe use shades of blue or orange or pinks. You know, you can always change, you can change their ethnicity completely if you wanted to. You just assign it different colors. Ultimately, it's your picture, it's your art, and you decree what you do with it. Alrighty. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe off some of the little flecks that I see. Oop! I've got 1 minute left. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so if you feel froggy. If you are a subscriber, thank you for watching. And I will be back on Monday to do more quick sketchings before I leave. And hopefully I'll be working on the theme of the month, which will be for December. I'm going to do my favorite favorite cartoons. I'm going to draw up some cartoons that I grew up with in the 80s and miss to this day. Some of the ones that were kind of like influential to me, and I'll talk a little bit about those. And maybe even take 1 or 2 of them current day and maybe put them on a t-shirt, and I'll show you from start to finish how I did those. But let me know if you guys like these real-time videos. They are long, no time lapse at all, because I'm all doing this real time. So if I screw up, you get to see me do it real time. And how I try to save it. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I have got to vamoose, but I don't want to go because it's cold outside. Oh God, I don't want to go. But I gotta go. Oh. But yeah, this will be here for us. I might even finish it up while I'm on the bus, or I won't, and just like keep this going so that you guys can see how this one finishes up. And I'll add a little bit more to the pirate, because I've got these ideas for her hair to have some gears for some steampunk gears and whatnot like that, and I'll show you the progress on that, and maybe even do more work on that real time as well. If there's anything that you'd like to see, or if you have any questions, please feel free to just leave it in the comments, and I will respond. I might even, if it's a really great one, I'll go ahead and respond with another video. I'd like to do a little bit more dark skin tutorials, or light skin tutorials if you guys need it, but there's plenty of those out there. But again, I really appreciate you guys watching. And if you get anything out of it, if you've get some ideas or anything like that, go ahead and hit me up. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Okay? Alright, so this is where I've got to call it for the day. And what I think what I'll end up doing is just, keep layering and trying to overcome the tooth of the paper and just add my browns and whatnots to just enhance this. And I will see you in the next video. You guys have a great one. Thanks. Bye-bye.